Good day, everyone. Today we will tackle the chapter 6, Blood and Bloodstains. Okay, blood and bloodstains. What is blood? Or ano nga ba talaga ang ating dugo? What are the components of blood? How does the blood being produced in our body? And how does it circulate? Okay, so the significance of blood and bloodstains as a form of evidence in crimes of violence is very obvious, such that we need not to place emphasis on this. The test for the identification of blood is employed as an important part of the routine investigation in many cases of violent death. Ano nga ba kasi ang nangyayari sa mga violent deaths? Ano nga ba yung nagre-resulta? Which is blood stains. Magkakaroon po tayo ng mga pagtulod ng dugo when it comes to violent death. The specimen usually submitted is fresh blood or even can be fluid blood, dried, or even clotted blood. Clotted, ibig sabihin po buo-buo. Okay? So, very often, it is brought to the laboratory in the form of dried red or even brown stains on weapons, clothing, or other stained objects. Okay, so nakadepende na lang kung ano yung ginamit ng ating perpetrator sa ating biktima. Okay? So blood is a combination of plasma and cells that circulates throughout our body. It supplies essential substances such as sugars, oxygen, and hormones to cells and organs and removes waste from cells. Okay, hematologists work to identify and prevent blood and bone marrow diseases. Ang tawag po sa mga nag-aaral sa ating dugo is hematologist. Hema meaning blood. Okay? So they also study and treat the immune system, blood clotting, and blood vessels. Health conditions that affect the blood can be life-threatening, but effective treatment is often available. Okay? So a fluid that transports oxygen and nutrients to the cells and carries away carbon dioxide and other waste product. Okay? So blood is an important transporter or liquid that is pumped by our heart, okay, to all parts of our body, after which is being returned to the heart and repeat the process. Paikot-ikot lang po yan from heart to other organs, to our heart. Okay? Meron po kasing nanggagaling po ang oxygen natin sa ating heart. Doon po siya nagagather ng oxygen yung ating blood. Therefore, pupunta po siya sa, pag pinump na po niya, pupunta na po sa ating katawan at yung babalik na dugo mula sa ating katawan papunta sa ating puso. Wala nang oxygen yun. Therefore, mapapump na naman siya ng ating puso at magkakaroon na ulit siya ng supply ng oxygen. Ganun lang po yung paikot-ikot. Okay? So, blood is both a tissue and a fluid. Bakit po? It is a tissue because it is a collection of similar specialized cells that serves particular function. These cells are suspended in a liquid matrix called your plasma, which makes the blood a fluid. Okay? So, blood flow ceases, death will occur within minutes because of the effects of an unfavorable environment on highly susceptible cells. Okay, pag yung blood flow po natin tumigil, wala na pong magsusupply ng ating oxygen throughout our body. Kasi ano nga bang kailangan ng ating katawan? Oxygen po para ito ay mag-function ng normal. Okay? So we have four main components of blood. We have plasma, RBC or your red blood cells, WBC or your white blood cells, and your platelets. Okay? So, yan po ang kalimitang itsura ng ating blood vessels. Okay? So, plasma. Plasma is the main role of plasma is to take nutrients, hormones, and even proteins to the parts of the body that needs it. Okay? So cells also put their waste products into the plasma. The plasma then helps to remove this waste from the body And the blood plasma also carries all parts of the blood through your circulatory system. Okay? Ang plasma po, siya po ang pinakamarami sa ating dugo. It composed of your 55% of your blood. Okay? So, meron pa po tayong tinatawag na buffy coat or your leukocytes and your platelets. That is less than 1% of your total blood, and your erythrocytes that is composed of 45% of your total blood. Okay, paano po siya nagkakahiwa-hiwalay pagdating sa ating mga test tubes? With the help of your centrifuge. Okay, pag nagka-centrifuge po kayo, papaikot-ikutin po yung inyong blood sample hanggang sa maghiwa-hiwalay po yung kanyang component. Ergo, yung nakikita nyo po sa ating slide ngayon na magkakahiwalay ang plasma, your white blood cells, and your erythrocytes. Okay? So plasma is 92% water, and the contents of the remaining 8% includes your glucose, hormones, proteins, mineral salts, fats, and even your vitamins. Okay? So glucose, from the Greek word glucose meaning sweet. Okay? Matamis. It is a type of sugar you get from foods that you eat and your body uses it for energy. Okay? Yung glucose po natin, it is a form of your sweet products that gives your body energy. Okay? As it travels your bloodstream to your cells, it is called glucose or blood sugar. Insulin is a hormone that moves your glucose from your body into the cell for energy and storage. Okay? So people with diabetes have higher than normal levels of glucose in their blood. Either they don't have enough insulin to move it through other cells that don't respond to insulin as well as they should. High blood glucose for a long period of time can damage your kidneys, eyes, and other organs. Pag sobrang taas po ng inyong glucose level, maaari po kayong magkaroon ng diabetes. Ang unang-una pong tinatamaan ng diabetes ay ang inyong kidney. Kaya nagkakaroon po tayo ng dialysis. Okay? Ang sunod naman pong tatamaan ng inyong diabetes, which your eyes, in the form of your glaucoma. Yung glaucoma or yung puti-puti pong nakikita sa ating mga mata ay mga composition ng ating glucose. Hinaharangan niya po yung ating pupil para tayo ay hindi na makakita. Okay? And then, sunod na po yung other organs. Okay? So, hormones is a chemical substance that acts like messenger molecules in the body. We have different types of hormones. For example, is your estrogen. Isa lang pong gusto kong matandaan nyo dito. Estrogen is only found in female. Okay? It's only found in female. But, men have estrogen too. Paano po nagkakaroon, sir? Yung iba pong mga lalaki ay, imbes na lalaki sila, mayroon po silang pusong babae. Ganun po yan. Okay? Medyo malambot po yung kanilang galaw. In women, estrogen is produced in the ovaries and it is responsible for function like ovulation, menstruation, breast development, and increasing bone and cartilage density. Okay? Too much estrogen is having a high risk of cancer. Too little estrogen naman is high risk of weakened bones in the form of your osteoporosis. Osteoporosis, ibig sabihin po niya, meron kayong mga brittle bones. Anytime po pwede kayong magkaroon ng brittle bones, and habang naglalakad lang po kayo, pwede kayong mabalian. Okay? So, sa mga babae natin, kailangan po balance lang po yung inyong estrogen level. Okay? Too much cancer, too little osteoporosis. Okay? Progesterone. Progesterone is another type of hormone that is associated with the female reproductive system. Okay? Like estrogen, progesterone plays a key part in the menstrual cycle. It helps to prepare the uterus for pregnancy, and it is an important factor in the early stages of pregnancy. Low progesterone levels can cause heavy and irregular menstruation periods and fertility problems. Low level when pregnant induces premature labor. Ibig sabihin, meron ka pong miscarriage. High levels naman can cause breast cancer. Okay? So, ang progesterone po natin, lalong-lalo na sa mga babae, importante po yan. Bakit po, sir? Kasi pagka once na kayo po ay nabuntis at meron po kayong low progesterone, hindi po magtatagal yung inyong magiging anak. Hindi po siya kakapit sa inyong katawan. Ibig sabihin po, magkakaroon po kayo ng premature labor. Okay? So, mas maganda po kung ang level ng progesterone ninyo ay balance. Okay? Kaya importante pong magkaroon tayo ng kahit yearly check-up, lalong-lalo na sa ating mga babae. Take note, fertility problem. Fertility problem, ibig sabihin po niyan, pwedeng hindi po kayo mabuntis at pwedeng magkaroon kayo ng, or mabuntis man kayo, hindi naman kayo magkakaroon ng, hindi nyo mako-complete yung 9 months. Okay? Ganun po yun. Kaya importante po ma-track natin kung ano yung mga level ng ating hormones. Okay? Testosterone naman. Testosterone is a hormone produced primarily in the testicles. Para sa mga lalaki. Testosterone helps maintain men's bone density, fat distribution, muscle strength, and also the mass, facial and body hair, red blood cell production, sex drive, and even the sperm production. Testosterone, importante po yan sa mga lalaki. Okay? So pag wala po tayong mga testosterone mga lalaki, magkakaroon din po tayo ng irregular bone density. We have also the low sexual drive and the low sperm count. Importante rin po sa mga lalaki ang magpa-check up. Okay? Baka po nasa lahi po natin ay ang pagkakaroon ng low level ng testosterone. Okay? So, meron pa po tayong konting trivia before we proceed to insulin. May mga babae po kasi tayo na kung makikita nyo, meron po silang mga balbas o tinutubuan po sila ng balbas. Ang resulta po nun ay meron din po silang level ng or sufficient level of testosterone. Kaya po sila nagkakaroon ng balbas. Ganon din po yung mga buhok nila sa paa. Meron po silang certain level or certain amount of testosterone in their body for them to have the facial hair and even the leg hair. Okay? So, dumako naman na tayo sa ating insulin. Insulin is a hormone produced by our pancreas. It has many functions, but mainly the responsible for converting glucose in the things we eat into a form of energy. Okay, ito po yung nag-convert from glucose to our energy. It helps also to regulate our blood sugar. Okay, blood sugar. Kaya kung meron po tayong inaatake ng diabetes, meron po silang mga tinatawag na insulin pen. Yung insulin pen, itutusok po nila yun sa kanilang, it's either their limb, sa mga paa, o sa kanilang shoulder, para meron po silang fast reaction sa kanilang katawan. Ma-maintain yung level ng kanilang blood sugar. Okay, cortisol naman. Cortisol is a type of hormone known as a steroid hormone, and it is produced by our adrenal glands. Okay, adrenal glands. It has many responsibilities that keep you healthy and energetic. Okay, it is also responsible for helping regulate metabolism, regulate our BP, acting as an anti-inflammatory, and even forming memories. Okay, kung may mga naalala po kayo, dahil yun sa ating steroid na tinatawag na cortisol. Okay? Growth hormone. Growth hormone naman, eh, it's it speaks as itself. Okay, it is referred to by our initials HGH, or human growth hormone. Okay, human growth hormone. Sometimes it is simply called as a growth hormone, and it is a type of hormone that is produced by our pituitary glands. Okay, pituitary gland. HGH is almost or mostly associated with growth and development. It stimulates cell growth, cell regeneration, cell reproduction in children, and it also helps to boost metabolism. Kung mapapansin po ninyo, yung mga matatangkad na tao, mabilis po silang magutom. Bakit po? Kasi nga po, meron po silang fast metabolism. Okay, fast metabolism para gawa po ng meron silang mabilis na metabolism kasi yung katawan po nila sa sobrang laki, kailangan po nilang supplyan ng energy. Okay? Kailangan po nilang supplyan ng energy. Adrenaline. Adrenaline is also known as a stress hormone. Okay, stress hormone. It is produced in the adrenal glands and within some cells of the central nervous system. Adrenaline's major function is to prepare the body for its fight or flight response, and it allows for quick decision making in dangerous or stressful situations. Para saan po ang adrenaline, sir? Mayroon tayong tinatawag na adrenaline rush. Kung mababasa nyo dito, it's either fight or flight. Lalaban ka ba or aalis ka na lang? Okay? Let's say for example is nasusunog yung inyong bahay. Nasusunog yung inyong bahay at naalala mo bigla yung laman ng ref ninyo. Okay, yung laman ng ref ninyo, punong-puno yung ref ninyo, and then wala na kayong maisip kundi buhatin ito. With the help of your adrenaline rush sa inyong katawan, yung sobrang bigat na refrigerator, kayang-kaya nyo pong mabuhat. Yun ang tinatawag na adrenaline rush. Okay? So, thyroid hormones naman, it is produced in our thyroid gland. They perform a variety of crucial tasks in the body, and one of the thyroid hormone's biggest responsibilities is regulating metabolism. An imbalance of the thyroid hormone can be linked to a serious condition like Graves' disease or Hashimoto's disease, which can cause problems with weight management and energy levels. Okay? One of the thyroid hormone's biggest responsibilities is regulating metabolism. Pagka meron po tayong mga regular metabolism, meron po kasi tayong mga tinatawag na slow metabolism and fast metabolism. Pag mababa na po yung thyroid level natin, thyroid hormone level, I should say, is magkakaroon po tayo ng sobrang bagal na metabolism. Therefore, magkakaroon po kayo ng paglaki ng inyong katawan. Ganon din po yung pag mabilis naman yung inyong metabolism, ganon din kabilis yung pagpayat ninyo. Nagigets? Okay. So, function of mineral salts form part of the bone structure, providing calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, and even your fluorine. Okay, fluorine. It regulates the water balance inside and outside the cells in the form of your electrolytes, also known as osmosis process. It intervenes in nerve excitability and muscle activity. Okay? So, muscle activity, importante po ang calcium and magnesium dyan. Okay, kaya po nauuna ang calcium dyan kasi mas importante po siya. Bakit po? Ano nga ba kasi ang dahilan kung bakit lumalaki ang ating mga muscle? It has something to do with our calcium levels. Okay, ganun din po sa ating mga bones. Okay, it allows the substance to enter the cells. Glucose needs sodium to be used as a source of energy at a cellular level. It collaborates in metabolic process, and the mineral salts contribute to the proper functioning of the immune system. Importante po ang ating immune system sa ating katawan. Bakit po? Kasi po ito yung primary defense natin when it comes to our environment. Ang ating environment po ngayon ay medyo maulan. Pag mababa po yung immune system ninyo, mabilis po kayong dadapuan ng sakit. Okay? So, importante po ang zinc, selenium, and even your copper. And are also part of large molecules such as your hemoglobin in blood and chlorophyll in vegetables. Chlorophyll, ito po yung green pigment ng ating mga vegetables. Okay? So, proteins. Proteins are made up of amino acids. Proteins are needed for the body to function properly, and they are the basis of body's structure, such as our skin and even our hair. Other substances such as your enzymes, cytokines, and other antibodies. Okay? Importante po ang ating protein, sir. Bakit? Kasi nga po, pag wala po tayong mga protein, hindi rin po tayo magfa-function ng properly. Nagigets? Hindi po tayo magfa-function ng properly. Kasi ang protein natin, kailangan nasa certain level yan in order for our body to move and regulate our other organs. Importante po yung role ng ating proteins. Pag wala po tayong proteins, magkakaroon po tayo ng hindi magandang skin, hindi rin po tayong tutubuan ng hair. Okay? Sa hair po kasi may tinatawag na keratin. Keratin is made up of proteins. Okay? So, kung wala pa tayong proteins, wala pa tayong hair. Ganun lang yan. Okay? So, importante rin ang ating proteins, sa ating enzymes. Pag wala po tayong mga enzymes, masyadong manghihina ang ating body, hindi po siya mag-function properly. And ganoon din sa ating antibodies. Wala pong magproprotekta sa ating katawan pag walang proteins. Okay? So, fats are the body uses fat as a fuel source. And fat is the major storage form of the energy in our body. Okay? It is also important function in the body, and a moderate amount is needed in the diet for good health. Fat in food come from several forms, including our saturated, monosaturated, and polyunsaturated. Okay, pag sinabi pong mga monounsaturated, iisa lang po yung kanilang linya ng fat. Pag poly naman, sobrang dami po ng kanilang line of fats. Okay? Vitamins. Vitamins are a group of substances that are needed for our normal cell function, growth, and even development. This means that these vitamins are required for the body to work properly. Okay? Ang vitamins po natin ay supplemental. Meron po tayong mga supplemental tinatawag, pero meron na rin po tayong mga vitamins na nakukuha sa ating mga kinakain, and meron na rin vitamin na present na lagi sa ating katawan. Ang mga iniinom po natin na vitamins ay tinatawag lang na supplemental para po mabuo ang ating mga kinakain. Okay? So, dumako naman tayo sa RBC, or tinatawag din niya erythrocytes. Okay? Erythrocytes or your RBC have a slightly indented, flattened disc shape. Bakit po? Bakit sa tingin nyo parang flat siya na indented? Kasi po, dyan po makikita or mapupunta ang mga kinikerry niyang oxygen, nutrients, minerals, dyan po napupunta para masupplyan niya yung ating katawan. Okay? They transport oxygen to and from the lungs. Hemoglobin is a protein that contains iron and carries oxygen to its destination. Okay? So the lifespan of a RBC is approximately 4 months, and the body replaces them regularly. Okay? So, saan po napupunta, sir, ang ating mga dead na red blood cells? Napupunta po, or na-develop po sila sa ating liver, which is magiging in the form of waste. Mapupunta sa ating ihi, ganoon. Mapupunta sa ating paghaba ng kuko at paghaba ng ating hair. Okay? So the expected or the human body produces around 2 million RBC or blood cells every second. Okay, approximately po yan. And the expected number of RBC in a single drop of microliter of blood is around 4.5 to 6.2 million in males, while in females we have 4.0 to 5.2 millions of microliter. Okay? So white blood cells, also known as your leukocytes. Leukocytes can make up of less than 1% of your blood content, forming vital defenses against diseases and infection. Yan lang pong gusto ko matandaan ninyo dyan. White blood cells is almost and always for our line of defense. Okay, the number of WBC in a microliter is usually ranges from 3,700 to 10,500. Okay, higher or lower levels of WBC can indicate disease. Okay? Pag mababa po kasi ang ating WBC, wala po tayong line of defense. Pag sobrang taas naman po ng ating WBC sa ating katawan, ibig sabihin, meron po siyang nilalabanan na disease sa ating katawan. Okay? So, ito po yung type ng ating white blood cells. We have two types of white blood cells, granulocytes and agranulocytes. Okay? Ang difference lang po nila ay yung agranulocytes ay wala po siyang it produces specific to immune responses. Okay? Ito po yung differences nila. Meron pa tayong lymphocyte and monocyte. From agranulocytes and granulocytes, we have three kinds. We have neutrophil, eosinophil, and basophil. Okay, kung nakikita nyo po yung mga parang dots dyan sa ating granulocytes, yan po yung granules. While sa agranulocytes, kaya nga ibig sabihin, wala. Makinis po yung ating sphere dyan na nakikita ninyo. Yan sa lymphocyte and your monocyte. Okay, neutrophil. Neutrophil helps in phagocytosis. Eosinophil is for parasitic infection. Basophil produces anti-inflammatory and also for our allergic reaction. Okay, so duwa ko naman tayo sa ating lymphocyte. Lymphocyte has three kinds. We have B lymphocyte, T lymphocyte, and our natural killer cell. Natural killer cell, ito po yung kalimitang pumapatay sa ating mga diseases na nakikita sa ating katawan or tumutulong. Okay? So, components of blood, another one is the platelets. Platelets, also known as our thrombocytes. Thrombocytes interact with clotting proteins to prevent or even stop bleeding. Okay, pag nasugatan po kayo at namuo na po yung dugo sa inyong balat, ibig sabihin okay na po yung inyong thrombocyte. Ibig sabihin nag-dry na po siya para mag-heal po yung ating skin. Nag-dry po yung ating dugo sa outer layer ng ating skin para ma-prevent yung paglabas ng dugo or pagsirit ng ating dugo. Okay? So, there should be between around 150,000 to 400,000 platelets per microliter of blood. Bone marrow produces RBC, WBC, and your platelets. Okay? Tandaan nyo pa palagi na bone marrow ang nagpo-produce ng RBC, WBC, and even your platelets. Okay? And from there, they enter the bloodstream. Plasma is mostly water that is absorbed from ingested food and fluid by the intestines, and the heart pumps them around the body as blood by way of the blood vessels. Okay? Sagot na natin yung isa. How does the body circulate? How does the blood circulate? By the help of our heart. Kaya po siya tumitibok para magkaroon tayo ng decent amount ng supply ng oxygen sa ating katawan para maka-function properly. Okay? So, ganyan po ang itsura ng ating blood vessel. Kung nakikita nyo po dyan, we have your lungs. Okay, lungs, papunta siya dyan sa ating blood vessel. Okay, ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina. If you look at the test tube on your left side, meron po yung red blood cells that is around 45% and plasma that is around 55% and your white blood cells that is around less than 1% of your blood. Okay? So, importante kahit sobrang konti ng ating WBC sa ating katawan, importante po yan when it comes to our line of defense. Okay? So, importance of the study of blood. A circumstantial or form of evidence against or in favor of the perpetrator, a form of evidence in the case of disputed parentage, and as an evidence in determining the cause of death and even how long the victim survived the attack. Okay? So, it helps in determining the direction of the case of the victim or the assailant, important in determining the origin of the flow of the blood, and also it has a say in approximation of the crime when it was committed. Ibig sabihin, meron po kasi yung fresh blood, ibig sabihin kakapatay pa lang nung victim. Pag yung blood naman ay pumunta na from dried red into brown red or reddish brown, ibig sabihin meron na pong decent amount of time mula nung namatay yung victim. Okay? So, problems in studying blood, we have the collection, preservation, packaging, and transportation of a specimen that is suspected to contain blood. Blood has a little resistance of decomposition. Okay? Clotting, ibig sabihin yung pagbubuo, isa po yung problema due to exposure to air. Okay? Sodium fluoride is used to preserve the blood for a week. Ginagamit po yan para mapreserba ang ating ebidensya na dugo. Okay? So, around 40 to 50 degrees Celsius is the ideal storage temperature for blood samples. Bakit po? Kasi pag sobrang lamig po yan, pwede pong mag-clot. Pag sobrang init naman, pwede pong mawalan ng water content yung ating blood. Therefore, magda-dry. Okay? Mere washing of garments can remove blood. And how does the stain contain blood or another substance? Yes, it can be from human or even animal. Okay? So, we have the chronological test for blood. Ibig sabihin, sunod-sunod po yan. We have your preliminary. It determines whether the stain contains blood or another substance. It is used to demonstrate the presence of blood, and it determines whether visible stains or do not contain blood. Confirmatory test that possibly identify blood and determines blood stains really contains blood. Precipitin test is for the stain of human or animal origin. It determines whether the blood is from human or non-human origin, and it is also specific animal that came from. Importante po yan. Kumbaga, pagka ang pumatay sa inyo ay isang oso, nakita po na ang blood stain ay meron pong bakas ng oso. Okay? Ang blood stain na po yun, malalaman natin using our precipitin test na ang pumatay talaga sa inyo ay isang animal like your oso or yung bear. Okay? Blood grouping test, it determines the blood group is from human. Okay? So we have test for bloods. Number 1 would be the benzidine test. It is an extremely sensitive test that can be applied to a minute stain. Minute po yan ha. Ibig sabihin, maliit lang na amount ng blood. Okay? For many years, it was commonly used as preliminary test for blood, and it is discontinued due to its carcinogenic property. Carcinogenic, ibig sabihin po, pwede po siyang mag-cause ng cancer. Okay, it is very delicate test that can detect blood from 1 to 300,000 parts. Okay, it never fails to detect blood even when very old, decomposes stains with all sorts of contamination. It is examined. Okay, it is more sensitive than the Gaiacum test and not any more specific for blood due to weaker result of discoloration. Reagents, we have benzidine solution and 3% hydrogen peroxide. Okay? Hydrogen peroxide. We have your sample here. Pag tinitignan nyo po yung left side, we have color blue or deep blue. Pag sa right side naman po natin, we have your na ano na po siya, na contaminate na po siya. Okay? Kaya nakikita nyo kung magpa-positive test ka ay yung sa blue. Okay, blue. Okay? So we have your phenolphthalein test. Phenolphthalein test is the solution used to show the possible presence of blood based upon a peroxidase reaction of hemoglobin which produces a pink color. Okay, alternative to benzidine test and can detect blood from 1 to 80 million parts. Okay, the phenolphthalein test is also known as your Castle-Meyer test, and it is a presumptive test for the presence of hemoglobin, a component of the RBC in our blood. Okay, reagents, we have phenolphthalein and 3% hydrogen peroxide. Okay, so ang positive po dyan sa dalawang yan ay yung medyo lightish pink. Pag yung deep pink po kasi ibig sabihin nagkaroon po ng slight na mas marami po yung hydrogen peroxide compare si phenolphthalein. Okay? Yan po yung ating phenolphthalein reagent. We have your Gaiacum test as the next one. A fairly delicate test showing the presence of fresh blood in a solution of 1:50,000 dilution parts. It may not react to very old stain. A test for peroxidase activity is used for detecting blood in the stool. Ibig sabihin po sa ating poop. Okay, sa poop. Reagents, we have fresh tincture of Gaiac resin filtered through with 95% alcohol and 3% hydrogen peroxide. We have your leucomalachite green test. Leucomalachite green test is not sensitive as the benzidine test, and malachite is a triphenyl methane dye. Ibig sabihin color po siya, ha? It is a presumptive test for blood and it is a reagent. We have also the reagent. We have your leucomalachite green solution and 3% hydrogen peroxide. Okay? So, makikita nyo po dyan yung bakas ng isang sapatos. Okay? Leucomalachite green test. Another one would be the luminol test. Luminol, ibig sabihin, it produces light. Okay, the luminol solution contains both luminol and hydrogen peroxide. And the hydrogen peroxide reacts with the iron in the blood to produce oxygen. And this oxygen reacts with the luminol, changing the structure of the molecule and temporarily adding energy. Kaya po siya nagkakaroon ng light. Okay? So when the energy is added to molecules, it is often absorbed by electrons, and by absorbing the energy, it becomes excited, and the electrons move to a higher energy level. Therefore, it produces light. Okay? So then, when the electrons return to their natural unexcited level, they releases the energy that also can be visible light. Produces light. Okay? Yung excited form ng ating electrons dyan, guys, is yung medyo malinaw or mas mailaw. na part ng ating mga dugo. While yung unexcited level naman ng ating electrons is yung medyo pawala na yung kanyang ilaw. Okay? The principle of the four-color test is the peroxidase present in hemoglobin reacts as a carrier of oxygen from the hydrogen peroxide to active ingredient of the reagents and produces different characteristic compounds. Ibig sabihin, sa paggamit ng ating iba't ibang test ay meron po silang mga sari-sariling resulta. Okay? Confirmatory test. Conclusively identify the identity of a biological material. It is to confirm maybe one or more combination of procedures. Pros, conclusively identifies a substance, smaller risk of false positive. Cons, may be more expensive, requires additional equipment and take longer. Okay, confirmatory test, it takes time and also medyo maraming money. Okay? So, the actual proof that the stained blood consists of establishing presence of the characteristics blood pigment, hemoglobin or one of its derivatives. Hemoglobin is a red coloring matter of the RBC. We have three confirmatory tests. We have your microscopic test, microchemical or microcrystalline test, and even your spectroscopic test. The microscopic test is very useful for the determination and measurement of blood components for making the distinctive mammalian, avian, and even reptilian blood for the investigation of menstrual, lochia, and nasal charges. Okay? Methods of microscopic examination. Take two small fragments of dried blood, place the fragment in separate slides, and add a drop of 0.9 solution of your yung solution na sodium hydroxide. Sorry, ngayon ko lang naalala. Sodium hydroxide. So the slide put in covered dish to prevent evaporation and leave for at least 1 to 2 hours, and the one slide prepare for wet preparation. Pero meron po silang comparison sa ating different test. Okay? So the microchemical test, also known as your microcrystalline test for blood, can be made more specific if microchemical or microcrystalline test is applied or performed. We have three. Okay, so the Takeman or Takeman-Haymin reaction, or the Takeman test or Haymin crystal test. We have also the acetone-Haymin test and the hemochromogen crystal test, or also known as your Takayama test. Okay. The Takeman test or the Teichmann test is a test that depends on the additional of the specific chemicals to the blood so that the characteristics of crystals with hemoglobin will be formed. Okay, we have your formation of brown rhombic crystals. Okay, ng ating mga dugo. We have reagents. We have your sodium chloride or NaCl, glacial acetic acid. Okay, so I would just like to correct myself. Yung 0.9 solution ay tinatawag po palang sodium chloride. 0.9% sodium chloride. Okay? So, procedure, place a minute fragment of the stain on a glass slide and add small crystals of sodium chloride and 2 to 3 drops of acetic acid. Place over a slip and heat gently over a small flame to evaporate acid and let it cool. Then examine under the HPO or high-powered objective. And we have your positive result. We have your dark rhombic crystals of Haymin or hematine chloride arranged singly or in clusters. Okay? Tandaan nyo po na ang Teichmann test, meron po siyang brown rhombic crystals as a form of your positive results. We have your acetone Hamin test, or also known as your Wagener test. It depends on a addition of specific chemicals to the blood so that the characteristics of crystals with hemoglobin will be formed. We have your reagents, acetone, that is dilute acetic acid or oxalic acid. Okay, we have the procedure: place dried small stain on a slide cover and with a cover slip with a needle interposed to prevent direct contact of a cover slip with the slide. Okay, and add a drop of acetone, then drop of acetic acid. Okay, positive result. We have the small dark and diachronic acicular crystals of acetone hanging. Okay. We have also the hemochromogen crystals, that is also known as your Takayama test. Takayama test is a delicate test for the presence of hemoglobin, and the test depends on the addition of specific chemicals to the blood so that the characteristics of crystals, hemoglobin derivatives, will be formed. Okay? So we have reagents, Takayama reagent, that is 3% of 3 ml, I should say, 3 ml of 10% hydrogen peroxide, 33 ml of pyridine, and 3 ml or cc of saturated glucose solution, and dilute it with 7 ml of water. We have the procedure: place a small piece of suspected material on a glass slide and add a drop of Takayama reagent and cover it with a glass slip. The positive result would be large rhombic crystals of a salmon pink color arranged in clusters, sheaves, and other forms that appear within 1 to 6 minutes when viewed under the low power objective, or your LPO. To hasten the result, heat may be applied. Kung gusto nyo pabilisin, painitan nyo lang and magkakaroon na po kayo kaagad ng resulta. Okay? So the spectroscopic test for blood is the most delicate and reliable test for the determination of the presence of the blood in old and recent stains. So this test is performed by means of an optical instrument known as a spectroscope. Okay, spectroscope, an optical instrument for forming and examining spectra. Okay? So the spectroscopic test for blood, we have the procedure: dissolve bloodstain in water or saline solution, place in a small chamber or glass with parallel sides so arranged that the rays of light will pass directly through it. So the chamber is placed in the spectroscope and the instrument is so adjusted that the spectrum is clearly visible. We have your positive result. Upon absorbing some of the rays from the spectrum, it produces characteristics of dark-colored bands with vary with the type of blood pigment. Okay? So example, oxyhemoglobin is marked by 2 hands or 2 bands. Hemoglobin broad band, carboxyhemoglobin, its spectrum similar to oxyhemoglobin. We have also the principle involved in spectroscopic test. The absorption properties of translucent colored fluids can be observed on the solar spectrum. Okay? Oh, that was the last slide. So if you have any question, guys, the GC is always open. Okay? Or kindly PM me if you have a question. Okay, so we have our chapter 6. The next one would be our chapter 7. Okay, thank you, guys.